Friday update on I do the 26th of November 2021. For more updates please don't forget to subscribe. At Asad's and Ayaan's residence, Asad asks Nazma about his mother, when she comes in to give him milk to drink. She says Dilshad might be in her room. He leaves the room with Nazma concernedly asking him, "Where's he going?" Rashid calls him up, but when he picks the phone and finds out it's his dad, he cancels the phone and does that with Rashid's repeated incoming calls. He goes into his mother's room to find it empty. Frustrated with Rashid continually calling him, he throws the phone on the wall and breaks it. Rashid is worried at this. Asad finds his mother sitting in the lawn. He goes up to her and she says that even after 17 years she can't analyze her mistake. He says that's because he and not she is at fault, saying that it's some people's habit to hurt the person that they are closest to. Therefore his principle in life is to not let anyone close to his heart. Her mother cites her the example that if one cloud doesn't rain, they should never give up the hope of rain at all, and tries to explain it to him that love is God's blessing. They can avoid it and continue to be alive but can't live. And says that he would definitely find the partner that would never hurt him. He says that he is afraid that he would follow in his father's footsteps and hurt the girl like his father did to his mother. She says that won't happen and she knows he would marry Dilshad. Tells Asad that he wants her to get married. He says that he respects her view. She takes that as a yes and happily comments that he's ready for marriage but not yet love. He says that one who has always lived in silence gets into a habit of liking solitude. Seeing her mother crying, Ayaan wants to reach out to her but can't. Rashid too is upset. Asad is alone in his room. Dilshad is lost in her thoughts, whereas Zoya too is lost in introspection. A sad atmosphere engulfs everybody. Ayaan is disturbed that he can't get through to Asad's phone to talk to him and inquire about his health. Just then Shurn comes in with juice for him as he hasn't opened his door since last night and hasn't eaten anything too. But when he doesn't pay attention, she starts with her nonsensical talk yet again that he needs energy to open the door if it gets jammed, therefore he needs the juice. Trying to open the door but unsuccessful, she presumes that the door is indeed jammed in. Tells Ayaan not to worry, that she would soon get his dad to open the door for him. Ayaan, who was till now ignoring her banter, immediately goes and opens the door for her so that she doesn't create a scene in the morning and tells her that he had locked it from inside. She offers him juice, citing the price of the juicer having been bought just so that he could drink juice and be healthy and strong. He throws the juice on the glass and storms out of the house without telling Shurn when he would be back and arrogantly replying never. Hamera's efforts to fail in stopping him. Shurn's crying gets everybody together. She tells Rashid that he has gone out angrily and that he hurts himself whenever he's angry. He asks Rashid to go after him and see that he doesn't do anything to himself. Rashid rushes out. Shurn confides to Razia that she can no longer control the boy. Hamera too is upset that he didn't stop for her too. Razia plants the idea of his marriage in Shurn's mind, that it's the only way to get him in control and making him stop whenever she wants to, indirectly aiming at Hamera. Meanwhile outside, in a scuffle to take him off his bike, Ayaan falls on the floor and Rashid too gets bruises. He reprimands him for such nonsense. Ayaan replies back saying that what does he care, how does a son's pain affect him? Rashid asks if that what he thinks of him. Ayaan replies till yesterday he didn't but now he does. Comments that Rashid doesn't even want to know about Asad's health. Rashid says that he knows he's being taunted for Asad and Ask him why does he care so much. He replies saying that Asad's his elder brother and gave him the love that nobody gave him here and kept Ayaan's needs over his. Rashid asks him does he think his dad has no heart. He says that he's sure that Rashid's heart must have pained. But what he doesn't understand is that he is the youngest, therefore not allowed to reply back to Mamujan. But why does he suffer his insults and not take responsibility for his own son and run away? What is he so helpless about in front of Mamujan? The screen freezes on his frustrated face. Rashid slaps Ayaan. When he continually keeps asking him the same question, that why can't he take responsibility for Asad as a father, and what is his weakness in front of Mamujan that he can't speak in front of him? Rashid says that he agrees he's a loser and a weak person, and tells that even the strongest of people bow down in front of life's burden and lower their head. Saying this, he turns away. Ayaan says, I know you love him, then why wouldn't you say anything to him? In the morning, Dilshad is setting up the breakfast table when Asad walks in dressed for office. Seeing she tells him that the doctor told him a day's rest, but he says that he can't stay without work. And that is a trait that he has picked up from his mother only, who in sickness and in health has never stopped to take a break. Dilshad gives in to him, thinking it impossible to win him over. Nazma comes in and gives the butterade toast to Asad, saying she's on a sprout diet, thinking about the calories, but he tells her that nobody would notice and she could eat it away. So everybody begins breakfast. Nazma and Dilshad are talking through their eyes, with Nazma telling Dilshad to talk to him. Seeing this, Asad asks Nazma what does she want. She tells him that she and her friends want to go to a new lounge that has opened with his permission. He tells them to go but be back before sunset. She argues that the lounge opens after 8. Asada, wondering what kind of a place that is, tells her that she can go, but he would pick and drop her. She is upset that she doesn't need to be treated like a child, but she is willing to be embarrassed by that too, if he agrees to her wearing modern clothes there, as that's the protocol, and expresses her wish to wear a jeans and t-shirt. Asad asks her not to follow anything everybody does, as modernism is in mentality and not defined by clothes. If a place demands that entry is when you leave behind your mannerisms, then she doesn't need to go there. Nor does she need to be with such friends who want to. Seeing Zoya playing around with an application over her tablet, Zeenat expresses her concern about her behavior in front of Anwar, saying how would she adjust in her in-laws' place. He doesn't talk her seriously and says that it's good that she didn't get married then. Zeenat says that someday she has to, and already they are insulted by her elopement and people have started talking. Zoya retaliates now, saying that she doesn't care for these people who have so much interest in her life. Zeenat tells that she has decided that they are taking her back to NY with them. Zoya refuses to go anywhere without knowing our past. Zeenat says she would have to use force if she has to. Zoya and Anwar do not take her seriously and keep pulling her leg at every decision of hers. When Zeenat is close to tears, Anwar persuades Zoya to look after her. She tries to talk to her about the importance of her past to her. Zeenat says that she can't let our stay here alone in hotels. Zoya closes the topic, saying that they would discuss it over dinner, and hugging her, thinks to herself that Zeenat will have to understand her helplessness. Ayaan asks him why can't Asad stay with them and what is his helplessness. He says that he cannot repeat the same mistake with Shurn and Ayaan that he once did with Dilshad and Asad. He says that even if he can't make them stay he can at least visit and ask about Asad as his phone is switched off, which rarely happens in. Ayaan is nervous about his health. Rashid says that they don't live far from here when they shifted from their old house. Ayaan is happy that Rashid has all the info and asks eagerly if he would go. He says yes but expresses a doubt. But before that Ayaan hugs him and says that he is sorry that he disrespected him and he's not angry at him anymore. Rashid too is happy and hugs him back. He then says that before he goes he should inform, and asks Ayaan if he has any other phone as Asad's is switched off. Ayaan says he's already sent him a message with the no having received it. He asks Ayaan if he is coming inside, or going to philander, following his father's thread of speech, philandering spits out of his mouth but then he covers it up saying that he needs some fresh air. Rashid tells him to go but take care of himself. Zoya sees tap water being filled in bottles and labeled off as mineral water. Disturbed, she goes over to the nearest stall, and accuses them for cheating and when they rebuke her she threatens to go to the consumer court and demands for their license. They who are hooligans gather around her thinking her to be alone and tell her to call the police and take them to the court. Zoya, having sensed that they know she's alone, points out to a man standing at a distance she's with him. The man actually is Ayaan. They decide to bick at him up first and then take care of Zoya. They go up to Ayaan and ask him if he knows Zoya. He remembers her from the Mazar and says this is the girl who's the reason for the recent dispute in the two families and getting him and Asad a beating. He angrily says yes but before anything else they start beating him up. Zoya takes the opportunity to dismantle the stall and wreck everything and slips away from there. The hooligans sees this and leave him and rush towards the stall, leaving him thinking that whenever he meets this girl, he ends up getting beaten up. Rashid calls Dilshad. Hearing his voice after 17 years she is shocked and can't control her emotions and starts crying but then keeps the receiver away from her mouth so that he doesn't know about that. He says that even after all these years, he can recognize her silence and asks her not to put down the phone. He then clarifies that at the hospital he didn't want to create drama, but he couldn't stop himself when he heard about Asad and that he knows she's very angry. He expresses his wish to come home, wanting to meet her but then corrects saying that he wants to meet Asad, taking Dilshad by surprise. She makes up an excuse that he's not at home and gone to office and that he shouldn't bother about him as he's fine. But he doesn't give up and sys if he can meet him tomorrow evening. Seeing no way out of that, she reluctantly says that he may come. Rashid says that looks forward to see them soon, God willing, and cancels the phone. Dilshad, still affected by the call, is surprised when Asad walks in and tries to stay calm while Asad searches for his laptop. He's about to leave when he hears her sighing and asks her who's on phone that she was talking to. She tells him it was his dad. Asad is disturbed. Shuran is angry that Rashid called Dilshad and made up a plan to meet them and accuses that by Asad getting hurt. He's looking at a chance to romance Dilshad again. He tries to calm her down and makes her understand that he himself told her and doesn't want to do it behind her back and that he actually wants to meet Asad. Meanwhile, Asad taunts as to why does Rashid want to meet him there to see how children grow without a father. Dilshad is upset but tries to make her understand that he cares for Asad. He replies that if he did, he wouldn't have left them. On the other hand, Rashid explaining to Shuran that had he been staying with Dilshad and Asad and something happened to Ayaan, wouldn't Shirin have wanted for him to meet Ayaan once? And he makes her realize Asad got hurt trying to save Ayaan, taking the wound meant to inflict Ayaan. He says that for the last 17 years. He hasn't bothered how they were, but now the situation if different, Asad has saved Ayaan's life. Fulfilling his responsibility as an elder brother, and now he has to fulfill his responsibility as a father. He says that he wants to go and meet them for a last time, but with her permission. She gives him permission if he ensures that this is the last time they meet. Asad asks her to refuse him to come. She says that she has taught him that they should even consider the enemy as a guest if he comes to their house, and declares that she has already said yes for him to come. Asad is disturbed at this and says that he may come but would only be able to meet Dilshad as he wouldn't meet him, and walks out ignoring his mother calling him. He reaches his car and is about to get in when the recent conversation upsets him and he closes the car door in frustration. Asad walks in on a complaining Nazma about the same thing, that Dilshad didn't do right in inviting him over as he has never bothered to look out for them in so many years, then why now? All her life. In college she saw her stepsisters getting out of big flashy cars whenever she was dropped by Asad to college. Rashid didn't bother then. So why now? Asad tells her to stop and apologizes to Dilshad for not listening to her and disobeying her for the first time in his life. He goes on to say that if this is that important to her, then he would meet Rashid along with Nazma. Dilshad and Nazma are surprised hearing this and turn around to face him. The screen freezes on his face. Zoya again bumps into Asad, which leads to a funny altercation. Rashid is not able to leave home to visit Asad as Nikat's prospective groom and family come to visit her. The groom's side agree to Nikat as their future daughter-in-law, and Nikat is relieved and happy. Everybody joins in the merriment. Asad is extremely angry at Rashid, saying that he stood them up once again. Dilshad tries to defend him, saying that maybe he had some important work. Tsi gets him all more angry and he fires her, saying that they have been waiting for 17 years. Udnt he make the imp work wait for one evening. She suspects maybe some mishap happened. Asad said hope it's with him. An angry Dilshad stops him for trying to talk like this about his dad. Asad gets back at her saying that he's not his father. An angry Asad tells Nazma and Dilshad that Rashid House and his family do not make any difference to their lives from now on, and they should not be allowed even in their thoughts as they are dead to us. Asad is surprised to see Ayaan behind him, who has heard the entire conversation and is hurt. Ayaan, with tears in eyes, leaves the house with Asad in tow. He is rash driving with Asad following him in his car, asking him to stop, Finbali overtaking him and forcing him to halt. He then goes on to explain that his words were not meant at him, and he knows how Asad feels about Rashid. Ayaan says the words hurt. He goes on to say that he never meant to direct that towards him and that nothing can ever come between them. They then go on to remind themselves and each other of their childhood days when Asad unfailingly looked out for his younger brother Ayaan always. He says that's what the elder brother is for. He then teases him not to cry, as that would get a wrong impression on his Casanova image and affect his female fan following. They together head towards home.